everybody. I hope everybody's having a good week this week. So this week what's popping and dropping is a dinosaur pop-up card. It says for my dynamite friend, and then we open it up and we have this cute dinosaur. And up here it says you are awesome. And then I just did some different leaves around it. And then on the back, I did a dinosaur print where we can write a message to them if we would like. So why don't we go ahead and head over to Design Space, and I'm going to show you how we can create this card. I'll see you there. Now that we're here in Design Space, what we can do is go get a square. We're going to make our card base. It's going to be 10.5 by 6.5. We're going to get a score line. We're going to make it 6.5 inches long. Then we can grab our card base and our score line, go up to the top, align center, and then go down to the bottom, hit attach. We're going to use 4 pieces of pretty paper. They are going to be 5 by 6.25. Then we can grab these, group them together, and move them aside. Now we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We're going to make it 2.319 by 7.111. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to place the X at 3.069 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 11.333 by 0.444. We're going to put the X on 1 and the Y on 3. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on slice. This is the piece we need, just made. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 5.278. Then we're going to go get a square. We're going to make it 2.875 by 4.028. We're going to place the X at 3.091 and the Y at 2.708. And this is the triangle we'll be using. Then we're going to get a triangle. We're going to make it 5.069 by 2.067. We're going to place the X at 1.979 and the Y at 1. What we're going to do is grab it all and go down to the bottom and click weld. Then with our piece, our X and our Y on 1, we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We're going to make it 0.717 by 1.434. We're going to rotate it 149.67 degrees. We're going to place our X at 2.028 and our Y at 2.389. Right click, duplicate that half circle. We're going to rotate it 38.32 degrees. We're going to place the X at 5.967 and the Y at 2.392. And this half circle is highlighted. We're going to hold our shift key, highlight the other half circle, go down to the bottom and click on weld. Then we're going to grab it all and click on slice. And then we should have this piece here. Then we're going to highlight it, go to contour, and we're going to get rid of these 2 little triangles. So now we're left with this piece. Now we're going to make sure our purple piece is still, the X and Y is on 1. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a half moon. We're going to make it 0.937 by 1.874. We're going to rotate it 42.19 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.074 and the Y at 5.218. Then we can right click, duplicate. We're going to rotate it 129.56 degrees. We're going to place the X at 5.283 and the Y at 5.161. To shapes, we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 2.167 by 0.5. We're going to rotate it 222.49 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.581 and the Y at 4.55. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get an oval. We're going to make it 1.046 by 0.358. We're going to rotate it 268.68 degrees. We'll place the X at 1.536 and the Y at 3.771. Then we can go to shapes, get another oval. We're going to make it 1.083 by 0.306. We're going to rotate it 216.51 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 4.043. Then we can right click, duplicate, we can adjust the rotation to 189.34 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.009 and the Y at 4.597. Then we're going to grab the arm and the 3 fingers, and we're going to click on Group. Then we are going to right click, duplicate. Then we're going to go up to the top and click Flip horizontal. Then we're going to place the X at 5.833 and the Y at 3.75. We're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on Weld. Then we should have this piece. We're going to make sure our purple piece is 7.364 by 6.278. We're going to place the X and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get an oval. We're going to make it 2.5 by 1.017. We're going to rotate it 65.9 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.9 and the Y at 3.127. Then we'll go to Shapes again. We're going to get another oval. We're going to make it 2.444 by 0.864. We'll rotate it 110.64 degrees. We're going to place the X at 6.082 and the Y at 3.28. Then we're going to grab each of the circles, go down to the bottom, click on Weld. Then we're going to grab all 3 pieces and click on Slice. And then we should have this piece here. We're going to adjust our green piece. We're going to make it 5.505 to 4.693. We're going to place the X and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a score line. We're going to make that score line 4.61. We're going to place the X at 3.723 and the Y at 1.036. Then we're going to get another score line. We're going to make it 1.422. We're going to rotate it 50.46 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.623 and the Y at 1.305. Then we'll duplicate that score line. We are going to rotate it 309.55 degrees. We're going to place the X at 3.778 and the Y at 1.287. Then what we can do is grab everything and then go down to the bottom and click on Attach. And then we can go ahead and move this piece aside. Now we're going to go to Shapes. We are going to get a square. We're going to make it 2.222 by 3.514. We're going to place the X on 1 and the Y on 1. Then we are going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We are going to make it 1.478 by 4.479. We're going to rotate it 5.01. We're going to place the X at 2.553 and the Y at 1.447. Then we're going to grab them both and go down to the bottom and click on Slice. We are going to keep this piece and we are going to keep one of these pieces. It just matters which one because they are both the same size. This piece we just cut, the X is going to be on 1, but the Y we're going to have to put on 1.591, and then we're keeping it the same size. And then this piece, what we're going to do is rotate it 122.28 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.672 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. Then we can get rid of this, highlight this piece we just cut, go to Contour. We're going to get rid of that little triangle, and then we have this piece here. We can move this out of the way, but let's go to Shapes, and we're going to get a half circle, and we're going to make that half circle 1.787 by 3.574. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 1. Then we are going to right click, duplicate it, and we're going to place the X at 1.731 and the Y at 1.046. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. And then this is the piece we want to save. We're going to take this piece and we're just going to adjust it a little. So let's go up to the top and unlock it. And then we're going to adjust the width to 2.198. and we're going to place our X at 1.351 and the Y at 1.238. Then this piece here we just cut. What we're going to do is adjust it to 1.412 by 4.421. We're going to rotate it 20.4 degrees. We're going to place our X at 1 and our Y at 1. Have it, we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom, and we're going to click on Slice. And we can get rid of all of these pieces, highlight this piece. We're going to go into Contour, and then we're just going to hide that triangle there. Then we should have a piece that looks like so. Now we can just set this aside for the moment. Okay, now what we're going to do is right click, duplicate this. We're going to set both of these aside. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We are going to make the half circle 1.25 by 2.5. We're going to place the X at 2.708 and the Y at 1.574. Then we are going to right click, duplicate it. Then we are going to place the X at 2.259 and the Y at 1.583. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on Slice. And we're going to keep this piece and get rid of the rest. And we're going to go ahead and right click, duplicate this piece, and we're going to need another piece for it in just a minute. Now let's get this blue piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to go highlight it, go up to the top. We're going to click Flip, Horizontal, and then we're going to click on Flip, Vertical. Then once we have that done, we are going to rotate it 144.7 degrees. We're going to place the X on 1 and the Y on 1. This piece right here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and adjust it to 1.297 by 2.594. We're going to rotate it 342.04 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.769 and the Y at 1.632. Then what we're going to do is grab them both, and then we're going to go down to the bottom and click on Weld. Now we're going to make sure our X and our Y for this piece is on 1. Then we're going to get this piece and we are going to adjust it to 0.993 by 1.985. We're going to rotate it 264.33 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.28 and the Y at 1.611. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. Now what we're going to do is highlight this piece. Then we're going to go down to Contour, and then we're going to get rid of this guy right here. And then we're just going to highlight it all and go down to the bottom and click on Weld. And then we have this piece. Then this piece, we're making sure the X is on 1.379 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get an oval. We're going to make that oval 2.137 by 1.481. We're going to rotate it 108.47 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 1.632. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. And then we're just going to get rid of all the pieces, and it should look something like so. This piece here, we're going to make sure the X is on 1.065 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes and we're going to get an oval. We're going to make it 0.708 by 0.35. We'll rotate it 308.37 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 1.417. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Weld. And then we should have this piece here. Now with our X and our Y still on 1, let's go to Shapes and we are going to get a square. We're going to make it 0.153 by 0.847. We're going to rotate it to 2.69 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.862 and the Y at 2.816. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. Highlight that piece. We're going to get rid of this guy right here. And then we are going to grab it all and then click on Weld. And then we should have a piece that looks like so. I'm going to rotate it 40.98 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.437 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to take this piece and we are going to make it 2.004 by 3.176. We're going to rotate it 6.25 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1 and then the Y at 3.113. And then what we can do is grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on Weld. And then we should have this piece here. Now our tail we're going to adjust to 2.58 by 4.729. And you can rotate your tail however you like. And these, for the spots, I'm just going to let you guys choose if you want them. I just use circles and half circles and place them on my body of my dinosaur. Now let's go to shapes. We're going to get a square. We're going to make it 0.514 by 2.778. We're going to place the X at 1.666 and the Y at 1.408. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We're going to make it 5.257 by 1.637. We're going to rotate it 253.4 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.002 and the Y at 2.657. Then we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 0.105 by 0.963. We're going to place the X at 6.12 and the Y at 1.816. Then we're going to get another square. We'll make it 0.411 by 2.672. We'll rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to place the X at 3.56 and the Y at 1.807. Now to get this shape, we're going to have to go to shapes. We're going to get a half circle. We're going to make it 2.729 by 5.458. We're going to rotate it 270 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.958 and the Y at 6.083. Then we're going to get another half circle. We're going to make it 2.125. We're going to make the height 4.25. We're going to rotate it 270 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.514 and the Y at 6.828. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. And this is the piece we need. And we're going to take that piece and we're just going to rotate it 13.49 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.082 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a pennant. We're going to make it 1.426 by 2.153. We're going to rotate it 180 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.688 and the Y at 1.394. Alright, now that we have this together, what we're going to do is right click, duplicate, and we are going to set this aside and we're going to use it for our other mouth piece. And we're going to take this piece, the blue piece, and the peach piece, and we're going to go down to the bottom and click on Slice. We're going to highlight the blue piece, go to Contour, and we're just going to hide this little piece right here. So it should now look like this. Now we're going to take this little yellow piece and highlight it, and then highlight the purple piece, and we're going to click on Slice. And then we're going to click on the yellow piece, and we're going to go to Contour, and then we're going to hide this piece right here. Then we're just going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on Weld. And then we should have something that looks like this. I'm going to adjust this green piece to 4.583 by 2.792. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 1.118. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a triangle. We are going to make that triangle 1.01 by 0.551. We're going to rotate it to 2.41. We're going to place the X at 1.739 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to right click, duplicate. We're going to rotate it 11.25. We're going to place the X at 2.414 and the Y at 1.123. Then we'll duplicate it again. We're going to rotate it back to 0. We're going to place the X at 3.181 and the Y at 1.188. Then we'll duplicate it again. Place the X at 3.847 and the Y at 1.201. Then we're going to duplicate it again. We're going to place the X at 4.542 and the Y at 1.188. Then I want to highlight each of these teeth that we have. So if you click on one and then hit your shift key and then highlight the rest of them and then click on group and then right click duplicate, and then we can just move these aside. Just grab it all and then go down to the bottom and click on weld. And then we can highlight this piece and go to contour, and then we're going to hide all contours. Now with this piece, our X and our Y should still be at 1. Then what we're going to do is right click, duplicate. Then we're going to go up to the top and click flip horizontal. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to place the X at 5.542 and then the Y at 1. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on weld. And then we have this piece. So then with our red piece that we have, this big piece here, we're going to put the X on 1.185 and the Y on 1. And this should be 9.125 by 2.91. Then we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 0.472 by 2.75. Replace the X at 1 and the Y at 1.16. Then we're going to right click, duplicate that square. We're going to place the X at 10.042 and the Y at 1.16. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on weld. And then we should have this piece. We do need to resize this 4.035 by 1.234. And then we're going to place our X and our Y at 1. Then we're going to go to shapes and we're going to get a score line. We're going to make the score line 1.155. We're going to place the X at 1.283 and the Y at 1.077. Then we can duplicate that score line and adjust it to 0.401. Place the X at 3.019 and the Y at 1.224. Then we can get another score line. We can make it 1.155. We're going to place the X at 4.746 and the Y at 1.077. And then we can grab everything, our mouth and our score lines, and go down to the bottom and click attach. And then again, if you want to put the polka dots on him, I just use circles and half circles. Remember those triangles we set aside? Now what we're going to do with those is we're going to, the ones that are grouped together, we're going to go ahead and weld them. So now they're all one piece. I'm just going to move this over. And we're going to place the X and the Y at 1. And then we're going to go to shapes and we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 3.347 by 0.097. We're going to place the X at 2.559 and the Y at 1.649. Then we're going to grab them both and go down to the bottom and click on slice. And then we should have something that looks like that. Yellow piece, we're going to move the X to 2.565 and the Y at 1.2 0.226. Then we're going to get a square. We're going to make it 3.319 by 0.028. Rotate it 15.58 degrees. Then we're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 1. Then we're going to grab them both and go down to the bottom and click on Slice. We can get rid of this piece. Then we're going to highlight it and go to Contour, and then we're going to just hide this shape right here. And then we have this piece here. And what we can do is adjust it to 1.507 by 0.273. And then we can right click, duplicate, and then flip horizontal. And these will fit right on top of our teeth. Okay guys, y'all remember the mouthpiece that we set aside. We're going to go ahead and get that piece. And then once we get it, we're going to highlight it and we're going to flip horizontal. And it should look like this. And then we can ungroup it. And what we're going to do is take this piece, yellow piece over here on this side, and we are just going to rotate it 127.57. We're going to place the X at 1.909 and then the Y at 1.118. And then we can take our square here and we can adjust it to 0.532 by 3.889. We're going to rotate it 7.26 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.466 and the Y at 1.052. Then we can get another square and we can make it 0.597 by 1.306. We can rotate it 6.92 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.315 and the Y at 1. Then we can right click, duplicate that square, and adjust it to 0.486 by 1.306. We'll rotate it 7.1 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 3.544. Then we can get our pennant here, and we're going to adjust it, and we're going to make it 1.946 by 2.938. We'll rotate it 18.67 degrees. We're going to place the X at 1.438 and the Y at 2.945. Then we can get another square, and we're going to make it 1.844 by 0.089. We're going to rotate it 4.33. The X is going to be on 2.29 and the Y on 5.973. Then we're going to take this piece here, and then once we highlight it, we're going to go up and we're going to rotate it back to 0, the original position. Then what we're going to do is resize it. We're going to make it 2.91 by 0.641. Then we're going to rotate it 187.99 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.919 and the Y at 5.875. Okay, so now we're going to take this piece, right click, duplicate. Then we are going to rotate it, go up to the top, go under rotate and rotate it back to 0. Then we are going to make it 4.628 by 1.113. We're going to rotate it 18.41 degrees. We're going to place the X at 4.504 and the Y at 5.029. Then we're going to get a square. We are going to make it 0.139 by 2. We're going to place the X at 7.049 and the Y at 5.241. We're going to get another square. We're going to make it 0.411 by 2.672. We're going to place we're going to rotate it 136.11. We're going to place the X at 5.048 and the Y at 3.34. Then we can get another square and we can make it 0.722 by 1.542. We can rotate it 39.77 degrees. We're going to place the X at 4.025 and the Y at 1.866. Then we're going to grab our yellow piece and this peach square right here. And then we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to click on slice. And then we're going to get rid of this piece here. I got rid of this piece. Let's click on the peach piece. And then we're going to go to contour, and then we're going to get rid of that little nub at the bottom. So this long square here, we're going to highlight, and we're going to hold our shift key and then highlight our yellow piece, and then we're going to click on slice. And then we're going to highlight the peach piece, then go down to contour, and then we're going to get rid of this piece here. And then we're going to grab it all and then go down to the bottom and click on weld. Now we're going to make sure our peach piece, the X and the Y are at 1. Then we are going to go to shapes. We're going to get a triangle. We're going to make that triangle 1.042 by 0.79. We're going to rotate it 17024. We're going to place the X at 2.579 and the Y at 6.04. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a triangle. We're going to make it 1.044 by 0.784. We're going to rotate it 168.66 degrees. We're going to place the X at 2.541 and the Y at 6.079. Then you can right click, duplicate. We're going to adjust it to 1.049 by 0.775. We're going to rotate it 172.47 degrees. We're going to place the X at 3.355 and the Y at 6.036. Then we're going to duplicate it again. We're going to adjust it to 1.049 by 0.775. We'll rotate it 185.36. We're going to place the X at 4.357 and the Y at 6.075. Then we'll duplicate it again. We'll adjust it to 1.005 to 0.651. We're going to rotate it 197.52 degrees. We're going to place the X at 5.433 and the Y at 6.464. Then we'll just duplicate it again. We're going to make it 0.903 by 0.638. We're going to rotate it 202.32. We're going to place the X at 6.235 and the Y at 6.765. Then what we're going to do is highlight each of the pieces of the teeth that we made. Once we have them highlighted, we're going to group them together. Then we're going to right click, duplicate, and just move them aside. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on weld. Then we should have this piece here. Then we can go down, highlight it, go down to the bottom and click on contour, and then we're going to hide all contour. And then we should have this piece here. Then we should have this piece here. Then we're going to go to shapes. We're going to get a square. We're going to make that square 0.597 by 1.306. You're going to rotate it 6.92. You'll place your X at 1.306 and your Y at 1. And then we're going to go to shapes again. We're going to get another square. We're going to make it 0.486 by 1.306. You'll rotate it 7.1. You're going to place the X at 1 and the Y at 3.486. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on weld. Then we have this piece here. Then we're going to right click, duplicate, flip vertical. Then we're going to place this piece, the X and the Y, at 1. My piece here is 6.466 by 6.348, and this side should be the same size also. This piece, the X and the Y is 1 at 1. This piece, we're going to place the X at 7.45 and the Y at 1.014. Then we're going to grab it all and go down to the bottom and click on Weld. Then we just need to adjust it to 5.38 by 2.75. And then once we do that, let's put our X and Y back on 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a score line. We're going to make it 0.56. We're going to rotate it 10.72. We're going to place the X at 1.441 and the Y at 1.034. Then we can duplicate it. We're going to adjust it to 0.557. We'll rotate it 6.37. We're going to place the X at 1.305 and the Y at 2.111. Then we'll get another score line. We'll make it 0.778. We're going to rotate it 3.69. We're going to place the Y at 2.819. And then we're going to duplicate that score line. We'll make it 0.56 by 349.78. We'll rotate it. We're going to place the X at 5.842 and the Y at 1.047. Then we're going to duplicate that score line. We're going to make it 0.561. We'll rotate it 353.35. We'll place the X at 6.013 and the Y at 2.125. Then we're going to grab them all and then go down to the bottom and click on Attach. Now we're going to take those teeth we set aside. We're going to weld them together. Then we're going to place the X and the Y on the X on 1.223 and the Y on 1.15. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a square. We're going to make it 3.569 by 0.014. We're going to rotate it 169.12 degrees. We're going to place the X and the Y at 1. Then we're going to grab them both and then go down to the bottom and click on Slice. Then we'll take this piece, highlight it, go to Contour, and we're going to get rid of this top piece right here. So now your teeth should look like this. Then we're going to make sure our X and our Y are back on 1. We're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a square. We're going to make it 2.797 by 0.209. We'll rotate it 27.81 degrees. We're going to place the X on 4.214 and the Y on 1.447. And then we'll grab them both, go down to the bottom, click on Slice. Highlight this piece, go to Contour, and we're going to get rid of this top piece here. So we should have something that looks like so. We're going to adjust the size to 1.778 by 0.576. Then we'll right click, duplicate. Then we're going to go up to the top, click on Flip, flip vertical, and then it will go on the right side of your dinosaur. This couple of pieces, we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a circle. We're going to make that circle 1.127 by 1.127. We're going to place the X and the Y at 1. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a score line. We're going to make it 1.004. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We'll place the X at 1.043 and the Y at 1.834. Then we'll grab the score line and the circle and go down to the bottom and click on Attach. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get another circle. We're going to make it 0.413 by 0.413. And then we can grab them both, right click, duplicate, and then we have the other eye. Now let's go to Shapes. We're going to get a square. We're going to make that square 0.634 by 1.343. We're going to place the X at 0.38 and the Y at 3. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to get a score line. We're going to make that score line 0.631. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We'll place the X at 1.041 and the Y at 3.538. Then we can duplicate that score line. We're going to place the X at 1.058 and the Y at 3.864. Then we're going to grab it all, go down to the bottom and click Attach, right click, duplicate, and we'll have the second piece we need. So here are all the basic pieces we need to make this pop-up card. Don't forget to go up and save and name your project and add any additional pieces that you would like to add. So now we can go ahead and get it cut out, and I'll meet you at the table and we'll put this together. I'll see you there. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and fold our score line and put our pretty paper on. And this week the paper I'm going to be using is from the Stamp It Up collection, Flowering Fields, and this is the 12 by 12 paper, and I just cut them to the size that I wanted. So let's go ahead and get started and put our pretty paper on. Okay, now that we have our pretty paper on, we can go ahead and get our dinosaur pieces. I also wanted to say, I already did it, but if you have the tab that's on this side, all you have to do is snip it off. If the tab, you still have your tab over here. You don't need the right side tab, just the left side. So I'm going to go ahead and put my teeth on my dinosaur. So why don't we go ahead and work the score line. We're just going to work the middle score line, and that's it. And then he just sets in our score line of our card. So I glued mine almost to the bottom of my card. Is that about how I'm going to do it right there? And you don't have to glue his arms down if you don't want to, but before we lay him down, you need to decide which side you're going to have your tail on. So it really is totally up to you where you would want to put it. And I think I'm going to do mine on this side this time. I like that. So what I'm going to do, just so I know where to place it, I'm going to draw me a little line on this side, and then a line up here by this polka dot, and then I can come in and erase it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my tail down. So I have my tail glued down, and you can see this part is still up. That's just my choice on doing it like that. You don't have to. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue him to the base of my card. And just remember, the score line needs to be in the score line of our card. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm not gonna put glue on his hands. I'm just gonna do a little up the arm. So put glue on one side and then glue it down. And then after you lay this side down, we'll fold this side too, and then put some glue on it. And then fold it too. Then for the mouthpiece for the top, what we're gonna do is work our tabs on their score lines. And then we can get our eyes and our little tab pieces here, and we can work those score lines. And then we have a score line on our eye too. So these tabs here, they're going to set in between. So I think I want my eye to set like that. So as you can see, and this is just how I'm choosing to do it. You don't have to do it this way. You can see my eye is going over a little. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and just snip this edge off. Like so, so it's even with the base of our mouth. And then on this little tab here, I'm gonna glue it down. That's how it's looking. There's my 2 tabs. And then this piece glues to this, so it sits like this, I'm sorry. It sits like so. And this tab will glue to the eye, and then this one will end up gluing to the card. So I'm going to put a little glue on one of the tabs, and I'm just going to put it right against the eye, and I'm going to try to center it in between these 2 tabs so it will sit like so. The tab will sit like that. Okay? So that's how it's looking. Okay. Now let's do the same thing to the other side. Now I forgot to work the score line in the center, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what we can do is put a little glue on the tab here, and then we're just going to push it over to this side and glue it down just like so. Okay? Now our score lines that we put at the top of this, that is going to be our guide where we want to put these 4 tabs. And you are going to stretch it out a little. So you do want to make sure that this piece up here is nice and dry. So once you know it's set and dried, we can line our pieces up. This needs to be in our center of our score line. And I think I'm going to just snip these corners of my tabs here. Here is our score line. We want to make sure we get the nose area, this center area, in the score line, and then the tabs will sit somewhere in here. And it's just as a guide for us. The most important thing would be making sure this center is in the center of our score line. So I just want you to see, you can see under there, how my tabs are sitting. Give this a chance to dry on this side because we are going to have to stretch this some. So you can see how each of my tabs are setting somewhere inside my score line. That's right there. And I'm just going to give these a second to dry, and then I'm going to put glue on the bottom of these tabs. So we'll flip it down like so. And then we're going to put glue on these tabs and then glue it inside our score line on this side. I did find it easier if I lifted this side just to get it evenly straight on my inside here. So I want you to see what it looks like. I don't know if that's helping you or not. I hope you can see that. So I'm just going to give these a second to set. And before this gets too dry, we want to shut it and make sure everything is laying nicely. Very nice, very nice. Looking good, guys. Okay, guys, so I think this is pretty dry. So this tab is a little bit long. What we can do, this tab here, where it folds, I'm going to snip like maybe half of it off. Like so. And then what we can do is, you can do the other side too, snip it. I've already snipped mine. But we're going to fold it flat like that. On this area of the lower tab, we're going to place glue or tape. And then once we have the tape on it, we'll just fold it flat down like so. And then we can shut the card. So let me go ahead and put my tape on. So I have my tape off on this side. So I'm going to fold my eye back, fold this to where it lays flat down, and then I'm just going to shut my card and give it a rub. And then we open it up and we have our eye done. And then we're just going to do the same thing to this side. And then where we have it. Looking good, guys. Okay, our mouth. Let's work our score lines. We have 3 of them, and they are all going to be mountain folds. Then the most important thing is our score line is in the center of our score line here. So I think I'm gonna, the end of my tab, the bottom of my tab, I think I'm gonna stop about right here. Unsure? Use something that's not going to be permanent. And again, I'm going to use tape for this, so I'm going to put tape on both of my tabs. So there's my tab with the tape. I'm just lining mine up on the edge over here. Uh-oh. And I'm going to make sure my score line how about if I use the right side? It goes up like this, guys. Don't tape it on backwards like I was about to. So about right there is where I have mine. And now I'm just going to put my other side down. And there we go. So about right there is where I have mine. And it is so cute, guys. I just like, rah, 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 rah. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and finish mine, and then I'll be back to show you what I came up with.
I'll see you in just a second. Okay guys, so this is what I came up with. It says "rrr" means thanks in dinosaur. And I just did a dinosaur and some little leaves and grass down here. And then we open it up and we have our cool little dinosaur. And then on the back, I did a place where we can write a message, and I just did the dinosaur tail. Do you guys know what you get when you cross T-Rex and explosives? Dynamite. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me. Don't forget to stop by next week to see what's popping and dropping. Bye!